Arabic and Turkish. Why we want to change the culture of the people? So this is unfortunately happening in Turkey at a certain time. Some Muslim rulers want the same, to separate between the religion and we hope even that those rulers who came after, during the period of independence, they want to apply the Western model. We hope that they applied it totally. But what happens is that they do this, for example, like Ataturk in polishing the Arabic letters or the Azan in Turkish, but they didn't apply democracy among the people. You say no religion in the affairs of the state, and we follow the European example, but they didn't do this. Had it been that they even let democracy and let the people choose after a while, things could have been changed a long time ago. But still, they are dictators, but they follow the European example in another way, that to separate religion and the state. This is the only thing they know. But applying democracy, let the people choose, this is not, this didn't happen during their time. So they only adopted the Western principles of secularism to separate between Islam and the state. The rule of dictators was widely seen all over the Muslim world. The struggle between governments and opposition usually developed into military confrontation. In certain times, we have in Egypt, for example, in the 1990s, the struggle between the government and what's called at the time Islamic group or Al-Jama'ah Islamic. In Pakistan, we have the Pakistan Taliban and the Pakistani government. In Algeria, after the cancellation of the election, we have the government against the Muslims, and a lot of people have been dead. And this confrontation takes place between the Muslim state and the government and the opposition. Now we have the secularism, or separate between the state and religion. And this is applied by the Muslim rulers. So what happens is that Muslims respond to the secular attack in their countries by becoming more religious. We have a country like Iran before 1979. It was like a European country, totally. But the people, when they see that there is a total separation between Islam and their life affairs, they turn into become more religious towards Islam. This is happening in Iran, this is happening in Turkey, this is happening even in Egypt. They want to strengthen their Islamic identity. And we saw after that the modern Islamic revival, what we call Islamic revival, or in Arabic, as-Sahwa al-Islamiyya, obvious in almost all Muslim countries, especially in the westernized countries like Iran, Turkey, and Egypt. So although, for example, the Islamic law was not applied in Egypt, but if you go there, even during the time of Mubarak, how many women are having the hijab in the street? You can see the difference. Although the state or the government didn't ask them to do that, didn't have a law concerning this, we will go to the mosque, we will study, we will read. The rulers felt threatened by the new Islamic revival. In the Muslim countries, the governments felt threatened. What happened? These Islamic groups are attracting many people, so they felt threatened by this. They decided to crack down on Islamic groups, especially those engaged in the discussions of the political reforms. The Islamic movement became more popular and began to challenge the government's legitimacy. In the 1990s, Islamists managed to be parts of governments in some Muslim countries, especially through parliamentary elections. In the 1990s, you have in Turkey, you have Rafah Party, not the party which ruled now, Justice Party, no. There is a party called Rafah Party before, who was part of the government. And in Jordan, you have some people who were elected in the parliament. In Kuwait, you have some people who have Islamic background who were elected in the parliament. So this is starting from 1990s. We have these Islamic groups start to be parts or to be in the political system or to be engaged in politics in their countries. Now we like to have a quick look about the Islamic political system, the experience of the politics in the Islamic history. What happened? Just try to finalize. While Muslims practice ijtihad, we know ijtihad. Ijtihad is that the scholars think about to deduce certain rules or certain laws from the Quran and the Sunnah, so they practice ijtihad. We have great Islamic scholars, like we mentioned last time, Abu Hanifa, Shafi'i, Malik, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, radiallahu anhum. So we have those people, they practice ijtihad when it comes to the Islamic law in the worship, when it comes to prayer, to fasting, to some economics, but when it comes to politics, nobody dares to have any ijtihad. We have the principle of shura, but nobody has the power to make ijtihad when it comes to politics. How to upgrade, how to improve the principle of shura or the Islamic political system. After the rightly guided caliphs, the rulers used force to silence the opposition. Unfortunately, this happens during this time. Thus, the Muslims did not develop a mechanism of consultation, nor did they develop strong institutions capable of accounting the rulers. Nowadays, we do not have a country that can claim that it applies the Islamic political system. This is my opinion. This is my opinion. Some people might be, have a different opinion, but this is my opinion. The Islamic movements emphasize that the Islamic State existed during the lifetime of Muhammad ﷺ, and during the reign of the first four rightly guided caliphs. The period is 632, 661 during of the Christian era. The true image of an Islamic political system can also be seen in the Islamic State during the reign of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. The period is 717, 720, only 3 years. Because even during the time of Umar ibn Abdul Aziz, we have the time of the Khulafa Rashidin, Abu Bakr, Umar, Uthman, Ali, together. But when Muawiyah came and Yazid came, and you have 2-4 rulers after that, it is just like any king or any sultan or any emperor, same, no change. People have no say. But when Umar ibn Abdul Aziz came to power, actually he has been recommended by the previous caliph that Umar ibn Abdul Aziz will be the ruler after me. Yet that man, Umar ibn Aziz, he say, "Oh people, I make it free for you, whether you want me to stay or to leave." He doesn't like to take the job. He was an emir at the time from the royal family, living a comfortable life. But actually Umar ibn Abdul Aziz studied in Medina with the Sahaba and of the Prophet ﷺ, and he studied with them. So he has this kind of righteousness and taqwa, the piety. So the man even doesn't like to be in this position. He feels how hard it is. It's not a difficult job. So he wants even to give it to him. When the people now choose him, no, please, we want you to be the ruler. Within 2 years, 2 years only, things have changed in all the Muslim countries. You imagine a Muslim empire from Spain and Portugal up to the borders of China, all this changing. You have injustice before, but now we have justice. He take the money from the royal family and from those people that they have no right to take, and he take it to the treasury of the state. And he distribute to the poor. Till they say at that time, you don't have poor people in the whole Muslim empire. When they have more money, so he say even give to the people of the book, mean the Ahl Zimma, mean the non-Muslims living in a Muslim country. Oh, they have more money. Let the young man who doesn't have money to marry, give him money so they can marry. Within only 2 years and some months. So he has done a lot of change during that time. So this is one of the greatest examples in Islamic history as a Muslim state, as a Muslim ruler. Umar ibn Abdul Aziz. The current situation in the Muslim countries, many Muslim countries are ruled by kings. The republics are governed with one party and one ruler for decades. Of course, like what we had before in Syria, still the Syrian problem is still going on. We have a ruler, the father before, Hafiz al-Assad, who was ruling for 40 years. Now, when he left, his son became the ruler. Now, it's Bashar al-Assad. And a lot you can see from this Syrian experience how things were really so odd, how it happened. That this man, Yeah, this man was just studying medicine in Europe. Then his father critically ill. They called him, and they decided, or as the father decided that he would be the ruler, so the father passed away. The constitution at that time said that the ruler should be 40 years old. So, but he was at that time only 34. So they gathered the parliament and they changed the constitution that the president can be 34 years old. So you can see how things has been done before. But luckily now the people stand up to the right. The people know that they should have a say in the choice of the ruler. And alhamdulillah, things in Egypt has changed, things in Libya has changed, in Tunisia. We hope in other Muslim countries things will be changed to the better, inshallah. Not to chaos, no, to stability again, but with the choice of the people and with that the people have opinion in running their own affairs. In Yemen also we have some change. So this is related to the political system of Islam. I hope get some ideas. Inshallah, if you have questions, you can. Yes?
Can I ask one question?
Please, yes.
And what do you think is the principal cause of the leaders and rulers, parties, refusing to follow the Quran in giving the people?
Usually, I mean, if you have authority, if you have power, you don't like this power to be taken from you. If you have authority over all this place, and now somebody came say, listen, you should give us a saying in this, you will not like it. As a human, this is, I don't know, this
yes.
Even how they're brought up, but human being like that. You're like, for example, a dean of a faculty or a university, and you have a certain idea, you are right, and people around you all the time saying you are the right, nobody like you. And suddenly some people say, no, give us a right to have an opinion. The Quran is saying like that. As a person, you will not listen too much.
Yes, yes. But then why is it that it is so difficult for the Islamic nations, for the people who want a share of the power,
yeah,
to express their opinion and to form a movement? So, as you say, those in power do not like to.
Yes, you go to change. Yeah.
The power.
Yes.
But then why is it that it's so difficult for the people? I mean,
but the people now starve too, right? We have seen them. Even they are being killed in Syria every day. You have 20, 30 people killed. So now they stand up. They say, no, we want to change this. Whether we by force or by peace, we want to change this. We cannot let it go all the time.
Because it has been going on for quite some time.
Yeah, I know it has been all. But you cannot imagine how these rulers, like in different parts of the world, I don't like to give examples, even in the region.
Even in China.
So I don't like to say countries in a way. This is up to you as a Chinese to say. So in different parts of the world, you have some people like that. The government sometimes have strong hand, even to crash and to silence the opposition in different parts of the world. And that's what happened. But luckily now in our many Muslim countries, they will, even if it reaches the position, to sacrifice themselves, to sacrifice their lives. They are doing that.
And do you think
and this is something which we will...
No, they used to give the rhetoric that the majority of the mass, they want to live in tranquility. Why you create problem? You see, if you don't want, only you people want to speak, right?
Giving trouble.
How about, yes, giving trouble. Yeah. How about the majority of the mass?
But
they
now,
don't want.
But now the
they
majority,
just want only the
luckily the majority now are even being in the streets.
Yes.
And
but fortunately, the Quran speaks the other way. It always encourages the people to fight against injustice. It never says that you have to suppress yourself against injustice. It's always clear.
So that's also another.
So one day or the other it will come out. Because you cannot change the Quran. You cannot change the Quran. No one has a dare to change the Quran.
So another form of jihad. What the people are doing, even sacrificing their life, this is a type of jihad. against the dictator.
Do you think the internet would assist
yes.
in
Yes.
sort of
Yes.
organizing the people?
Correct.
The modern telecommunications,
Right.
things will help us.
Yes, it helps more.
Because all
There is
the
a
news
media.
you can see it at the same time that it happens there. So people are...
That is why they want to control now the internet also.
Ah,
Yes.
So,
same as in China.
No.
so any other thing before or later? Okay, we go.
So
to
the right of the dhimmis,
Sorry?
because I think the right of the dhimmis, that means the non-Muslims in the Islamic State. There's
We already talk about Ahl Zimma.
Yeah,
We talk about the people, the non-Muslims in the Muslim
because
state. They have rights.
there is always some scholars, they say this is, they are not supposed to live in their own lifestyle or something. That's
No. According to let's say even the what even the hadith that you should not take anything from a zimmi without his permission. You should not give him certain overload over what he bears. I don't how to say, I don't remember the whole hadith in Arabic, but if you do this, the Prophet said, فَأَنَا حَجِيجُهُ يَوْمَ الْقِيَامَةِ. If somebody do this against the Ahl Zimma or a person from the people of the covenant, I will be against him on the day of judgment. Who among the Muslims want the Prophet, peace be upon him, to be against him on the day of judgment? So you should don't take anything from him, which you have no right to do. Don't discriminate against him. And actually during the time of the Prophet ﷺ, you have Jews living in Medina at that time. Yet there is no way that the records say that the Muslims say put them aside or there's certain agreement when the Prophet go to Medina that you have all your rights and we have the rights. We cooperate together if there is an enemy coming against Medina. And there is a certain what they call Sahifatul Medina, the document of Al-Medina. Even I think you search document of Al-Medina. It's like a constitution. How the Islamic State in Medina will be ruled.
It's on our website.
Yeah, it should be, right?
Yeah, you said that's one of the presentation I made.
So, so it's there. So if you like the document of Al-Medina, so means that non-Muslims living even during the time of the Prophet in Medina. So the non-Muslims in the Islamic State have the all right to organize their affairs by themselves. But the public order in the whole state should be under the Islamic law. Everybody should be under it because this is the main law. But when it comes to religiously speaking, they have all the freedom.
and their personal law.
Yeah, under the personal law, to worship, to marry, to divorce, to inherit, this is their own affairs.
The state has no right to interfere.
Sorry?
The state has no right to
No, has no right to interfere, to change something
Their
which is
lifestyle
against
also.
their own...
If they want alcohol or whatever,
This is their own...
Own affairs.
They want to eat pork.
Yes.
They can have their own farms to raise up swine or pig and they eat. This is their own business. Now coming to the Islamic economic system. The Islamic economic system can be defined as the collections of laws and regulations in Islamic law regarding the economic activities in the Muslim state as applied by the Prophet ﷺ and the rightly guided caliphs and adopted by the Muslim rulers throughout the Islamic history. Now we have certain characteristics of the Islamic economic system. Value of work. Work is very important. Islam encourages the Muslim to earn his livings. Work in Islam is a kind of worship. To work and to earn your living legally is a kind of worship in Islam. Working in the least rewarding activities is better than staying jobless. Islam respects all legal works. Depending upon others should be the last resort for a person. So Islam encourages the Muslims to work hard. Prophet Muhammad ﷺ said one would rather cut and carry a bundle of wood on his back than ask somebody who may or may not give him. So this is discouraging people who come and try to beg and to ask for money. in the street and so on. You better go to the cut some wood, carry them, sell them, earn your living by yourself. This is the value of work. Work in Islam is very important. To earn your living legally and lawfully is very important and is encouraging, and it's a kind of worship in Islam. Islam has prescribed laws to regulate earnings and expenditure. Muslim should earn his wealth through legal means. Earning by fraud, theft, gambling, deceitful acquisition of orphans' property are not allowed. A Muslim should follow the Islamic law in his earning and expenditure. He should earn his living from halal work and spend his income in halal products. You cannot say, for example, I have money. I am free to spend it wherever I like. You are not free. You cannot buy wine with this money, right? You cannot go and gamble with this money. You are not free with this, right? So there's certain regulations how to earn and how to spend. Islam allows a person to own his earnings. The Islamic State does not interfere with the freedom of work and earnings of an individual, provided that this freedom is not harmful to the interest of the society or against the Islamic law. Allah gives man the wealth to spend it in good causes. Thus, he should not spend it in things prohibited in Islam. We have also the public property. Islamic law states that all people have equal rights in water, energy, common natural resources. This rule has given rise to public ownership since the early days of Islam. The government is responsible for running the public utilities and spends on it from the treasury of the state. Private management of the public utilities is allowed under the supervision of the government. Now we have also in the Islamic economic system the law of inheritance. The Islamic law of inheritance is one of the methods of the distribution of wealth. There are detailed laws in the Quran and the Sunnah regarding the distribution of the property of the deceased person. Men shall have a portion of what the parents and the near relatives leave, and women shall have a portion of what the parents and the near relatives leave, whether there is little or much left, a stated portion. Actually, the Quran gives some details about how much, in the Sunnah of the Prophet, how much for a father, or for a grandfather, or for a grandchild, for children of one person who passed away. There is detailed portion and stated portions. We have also the system of the zakat.
Just as a matter of interest, how much do they say they should give to the parent, how much to the wife, and how much to the children?
I'm not really, this is really detailed things. It's difficult for me to tell you because, as I say, even if for example you have a grandfather, his son passed away, how much he should take? If this son left children, male and female, how it should be? This is really interesting, but I don't have the experience when it comes to this. This is really detailed thing, to be honest. We have the system of zakah. Zakah helps to achieve the fair distribution of wealth. It's a form of social security, and the Quran mentioned how the funds of zakah should be spent. I think last time we speak also about zakah and how much it should be, and we gave some examples about this. So it should be also given to the poor, to the needy, to those who collect, to somebody who owes money and cannot pay, somebody who travel and at a certain time he can't go back to his own country, he doesn't have a ticket, and there are certain categories for distributing the zakat. Also, in the Islamic economic system, we have the prohibition of hoarding. Islamic prohibits hoarding food stuff and basic necessities, smuggling, artificial creation of shortages. The Muslim should be generous as he believes that Allah is the provider of his livelihood. So you cannot do like some people do. We have certain products, we keep them, we don't sell till the price become high. This is not allowed in Islam.
What petrol?
Sorry?
Gas, oil.
Yeah, we will do this sometimes. They try to keep a certain product, certain whether food or even petrol or even whatever. In some countries, they don't like to be in the market. so they lessen the supply, so the price will go up, and then they will benefit, and then say, this is not allowed in Islam. Debt is encouraging. Islam discourages getting into debt, except when it's necessary. A person should not borrow money to buy luxurious things. So, being in debt is a very difficult thing. The Prophet ﷺ usually make a dua, and one of his dua is, "Oh Allah, I seek refuge with you from sin and heavy debt." And heavy debt. Someone said, "How often you seek refuge from heavy debt?" So the Prophet said, when a man gets into debt, he speaks and tells lies, and he gives a promise and breaks it. So you have a debt, somebody comes, when are you going to pay back? After 1 month. And then after 1 month, you didn't pay. Sorry, I don't have money. So you break your promise. And even you make lies. So this is difficult. And while Islam discourages being into debt, Islam gives importance to paying the debt. It's clear that accruing debt is a serious matter in Islam and should not be undertaken except in cases of real necessity. The borrower should exert all his efforts to pay back the debt. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps those who wish to pay back their debts. If you have a good intention to pay back, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help you. The Prophet said, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, whoever dies free from 3 things, arrogance, cheating, and debt, will enter paradise. 3 things. Among them is debt. And that's why during the lifetime of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, usually he didn't perform janazah prayer for a person who has a debt. Because if the person really has the will to pay, Allah will help him to pay. And if a person dies and he has a debt, his family should pay the debt. The creditor should be kind to the debtor. There is clear support in both the Quran and the Sunnah for forgiving those who are genuinely unable to meet debt payments. Islam encourages lenders to wait until the time the loan should be repaid or reschedule the loan repayments. However, for those unable to repay the debt, Islam favors forgiving the loan and consider it as charity. So somebody, you give him money, he cannot pay, so you can consider it as a charity for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If the debtor is in difficulty, this is a verse in the Quran, namely saying, grant him time till it's easy for him to repay. But if you remit it by way of charity, you say this is for Allah as long as he cannot pay, that's best for you if you only do it. Now, one of the main characteristics of the Islamic economic system is the provision of riba or usury. The payment and the taking of interest as occurs in conventional banking system is considered riba, which is explicitly prohibited in the Holy Quran. The majority of Muslim scholars agree that the interest from the bank or taken by the bank is not allowed in Islam. In the Quran it says, "Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu taqullaha wa dharu ma baqiya min ar-riba in kuntum mu'minin." O you who believe, fear Allah. Keep your duty towards Allah and give up what remains of your demand for usury if you are indeed believers. Because before this verse came, or before the prohibition of riba revealed in the Quran, you have even some Muslims who deal with riba, because this was even during that time. So some Muslims own the money for other people and with riba. So when the verse came saying, leave it, don't. And since that time, Muslims are like this. Typically, riba refers to the addition in the amount of the principal of a loan according to the time for which it's loaned and the amount of the loan. While earlier there was a debate as to whether riba relates to interest or usury, there is now a consensus of opinion among Islamic scholars that the term extends to all forms of interest. At the beginning of the 20th century, when conventional banks spread in the Muslim world, there was some sort of argument among the scholars of Islam whether this interest is halal or haram, whether it's riba or not riba. But nowadays, basically, majority of the scholars in the Muslim world have a certain agreement, or they agree that this kind of interest is similar to the riba or the usury, which is prohibited in Islam. I say majority. You might have some scholars who might say, well, it could be allowed if it's a small amount or whatever. So you might have one or two.
And in that case, how do they justify this, the existence of the banks in Islamic countries?
They didn't justify. I mean, the people who are willing to, they go to it. The people who does not, they go to certain branches which call themselves Islamic branch. Yeah.
We have Islamic banks with no interest at all.
Yes.
Even in Hong Kong, it's developing, I think. It's just VC is talking about.
Not yet introduced, not yet introduced. It's
Not yet introduced, but.
Even Hang Seng Bank now have shares or have a certain fund where you can put your money and they will invest in certain shares which is according to the Islamic law, and they will give it back to the, how to say, the profit. The Hang Seng Bank, I think they are doing this. But having Islamic finance in Hong Kong, they need some changes in the law, and this needs to pass through the Legislative Council. And I think I heard some official yesterday. She is from, how to say, the Treasury Bureau or something like that. She said that this next time or this after the next election, they will have this kind of discussion about introducing the new laws, because to have the Islamic finance, you need to change certain laws. Because basically the Islamic banks depends upon trade. The Islamic bank buys something and from the profit, shares the profit with the depositors. The banks, the law here or the law of the conventional banks does not allow the conventional banks to be engaged in trade. They only give and take with the interest. This is how it is. Coming back to our topic, an Islamic economy is free of riba originally. Islam prohibits all transactions involving interest. Interest is neither a trade nor a profit. And in the Quran, وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. Allah allows trades and prohibits usury. وَأَحَلَّ اللَّهُ الْبَيْعَ وَحَرَّمَ الرِّبَا. So it's a means of exploitation and concentration of wealth. The determined return is forbidden in Islam. But sharing of profit is legitimate. That practice has provided the foundation of Islamic banking. So in banning riba, Islam seeks to establish a society based upon fairness and justice. It's fair to have a sharing of the profits and losses. The supplier of capital, because this is a right to reward, but this reward should be commensurate with the risk and effort involved, and thus be governed by the return on the individual project for which funds are applied. Just to give an example about the riba. The riba, you have money, you have 100,000 Hong Kong dollars. Somebody wants to have that amount, for example, to have a restaurant, to establish a business. So, in the conventional way, you come, I told you, take 100,000. After 1 year, I will have 10%, so you give me 110,000, right? So, you take the money, and you go and you have your project, and after 1 year, you lose all your money, all right? Or you lose half. You didn't earn any profits. Or you lose 2,000, for example, from the 100,000. You come back to the creditor and you say, listen, I have lost 2,000, even I gain no profit. He will say, I don't care, I don't mind. It's none of my business. I give you 100,000 and you should give to me 110,000. That's it, finish the story. Islam looks to this kind of transaction as unjust and unfair. That's why Islam prohibited this way of doing things. But what's allowed in Islam? You come to me as a person who has the 100,000 and you say, I'm going to have a project, but I don't have the money. This project or restaurant needs 100,000. I say, okay, I give you the money. You are talented in doing business. Go into doing this project and go ahead. If there is a profit, so we'll share it 50-50, or according to what we agreed. I might say around 60 and you take 40 from the profit, not the principal amount, because the principal amount is mine. not yours. So I give it to you, I say, you go, do this business, and the percentage will be 60 to 40 when it comes to the profit, all right? So the man took the 100,000, he goes to do business. Now, he lost 2,000, it's the same story. He come back. Now, I, as a creditor, I lost the 2,000 from the principal amount. I will not take anything from him. And he lost his effort because he stayed all the time running and he stayed as a manager or a director and so on. So he lost his effort, I lost part of my money. So this is, we share the loss. Oh, how about if the project earned, say, 20,000? So according to the percentage we agree on. We should not agree on an amount of money that give me 10,000. No, we should agree on the percentage only. So
No fixed profit.
no fixed profit, right? So only the percentage. If you have a profit, I will get, for example, 50% and you 50%. If the loss, we'll share the loss also. This is the way Islam agree about it. It doesn't agree about the first way of the transaction. One of the main characteristics of the Islamic economic system that Islam is condemned the ambiguity, or what we call the gharar. So another feature condemned by Islam is economic transactions involving elements of gharar, ambiguity or uncertainty. The contract should include all details of the goods or items to be sold. There should not be any kind of uncertainty or deception regarding the existence, ownership, price, payment of the price. Things should be totally clear. I think the sister, you remember last time we asked about this? So this is the transparency, all right? So this is one of the characteristics of the economic system in Islam. No gharar. This is even an Arabic term, gharar. No ambiguity. Things should be clear. Things should be transparent in the contract. The application of Islamic economic system will help in eliminating monopoly. Monitoring the markets is an official duty of the state in order to guarantee fair competition among all parties. The rules of the Islamic law provide for direct and quick punishment for any violation in the market. Development in Muslim countries suffer because of the practices of monopolists who are close to the rulers. In our Muslim countries, many Muslim countries, you have a businessman giving gifts to the ruler, to the son of the ruler, and then he monopolizes a whole market of a certain commodity or a certain product. This happens in different Muslim countries, unfortunately. Islamic economic system rules out the government intervention in the market through pricing policies as long as it's free of monopolistic elements. There is no need for the government to say the price of this is, for example, $10, as long as no monopoly there. It's open market, so there is no need to interfere. This practice has been established by the Prophet ﷺ. Application of this policy will prevent price deformation, which is prevalent in many Muslim countries. Islam encourages earning one's living. Let us try to, through legal ways. Avoiding behaviors such as gambling, selling of drugs, and fraud will lead to concentration on productive activities. Now, if you don't put your money in gambling or in deception, what are you going to do with this money? You're going to do a productive activity, like, for example, establishing a factory, establishing a restaurant, and. So the money will be used in a very nice, and a very benefitable way to the citizen, to the people. The market will be free from monopolistic practices, cheating, unfair transaction, and dishonesty. Halal and haram. There is a strict code of ethical investment. Let us understand that when it comes to investment in Islam, there is some morality there. There is some ethics there. Hence, it's forbidden for a Muslim to finance activities or items forbidden in Islam, or what we call haram, such as trade of alcoholic beverage, pornography, and pork meat. The code of ethical investment is also applied to Islamic banks. So an Islamic bank should abide by this. Should not trade in wine, should not trade in pork, should not trade in certain things which is prohibited in Islam. The code of ethical investment is also applied to Islamic banks, as we say. The practices and activities of Islamic banks should not be contradict the the Islamic ethical standards. So the Islamic banks should abide by the morality or the ethics in Islam when they are doing business. And this we come to agreement for our presentation of Islamic comments. But we will come to time. So if you have any question, please feel free to ask. Yes, anything about Islamic politics? Yeah.
I am very interested in the topic about politics, Islamic politics. Where do you get the information, or is there any other books or website that you can?
Actually, usually the things which from Arabic sources that I read long time ago. It's difficult for me really to. But I will try to see some website or something and refer to. If you have in English.
In English, by Abdullah Maududi, the Islamic State. We may have some in the library here.
Okay.
You can check it. And you can also find it in the internet, in PDF. I will search if I find it on
Wikipedia, or yeah, they have. But to be honest, for me, when I search about something written in English, I find some difficulties. To be honest, that's why most of the information that I have, I didn't know Arabic. Because usually this information, especially related to the Islamic history, about the application of the political system during the time of Khulafa, or this is even related not even to the politics, to the history, and intervene together. Anything? Any question regarding to the Islamic politics, Islamic economics?
What do you think are the chances of people succeeding getting some of the rights back?
I think there's a good chance. Now we have in some countries already succeeded. In Egypt, only after 2 days or 3 days, there will be presidential elections. And there were parliamentary elections, and people choose certain parties, and they're now in the parliament. So basically, there is something even in the region now in the Arab world which we have never seen before. In Egypt, we have like a debate between two candidates. Who can ever imagine just 3 years ago that you will have something like that in the Arab world? Nobody. That's why even in the Arab world, even the same Saudi Arabia and Riyadh, the streets were empty when they have this debate in Egypt. Everybody was watching the TVs because it's something new. Nobody can imagine before 3 years ago that this will happen. So now, people succeeded. In Tunisia, they succeed. In Libya, they succeed. In Egypt, they succeed. In Yemen, they succeed. In Syria, they are still struggling. We hope it will go to other countries. And inshallah, we hope it will be for
Do you think the level of education of Islamic people in general is vital effect in this kind of movement?
You can say yes, but you cannot say that this is the only thing or the major thing. Basically, because in Tunisia, for example, it has a very good standard of education. Yet there is a certain person who ruled them for, I don't know, 20 years or more. So, but what moves or pushes the people further is the injustice they face. They feel that this ruler in all these countries, they take a lot of things for themselves, leading the people to become poor. In even rich countries, I don't like to name it like Saudi Arabia or whatever, rich countries, yet you find poor people there. So where is this wealth going? In Egypt is a wealthy country, yet all these years they pretend that it's a poor country. People need to get, how to say,